Hey guys, what's up? It's Born a Brawler welcoming you to a different video. Just basically going to talk about my excitement for Monster Hunter Wilds, and I'm calling it early. I think that'll be my game of the year. This is coming from a absolutely huge Nintendo fan, but just to give you some background on me and my interests, I want to go into some of the games that I've played and, of course, focus on Monster Hunter. So my history with Monster Hunter goes back pretty far. Not as far as some other people who played it on the PSP and even earlier than that, but I started the series around the Wii U era when Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came around, and I really enjoyed my time with the game, but it was very different from the games I had played at the time, so I didn't really completely click with it. And then when Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate came out and I was able to play it with my buds pretty easily on 3DS, it was completely gone from then. There was no saving me. I have played every single Monster Hunter game from then to now. And if you followed me for a while, you know that I have actually made content on Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, as well as some light content on Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak. Most of that was during live streams, but I mean, especially if you know me, that was a game that I was also very invested in. And since the first trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds, it has basically been my most anticipated game of any year when it was coming out. I expect myself to be playing this non-stop for especially the first month or so, and probably still continue to play it throughout the rest of the year. I am that confident. But to kind of get into the other part of this video, I am also a absolutely huge Nintendo fan, and we're going into a new console generation. We're going to be going into the Switch 2, which is probably going to introduce even more games. I mean, we're probably going to get some ports, especially since it's the first year, but if this release is going to be as strong as the original Nintendo Switch, then it's going to have some competition, I would say. And yet, I still think Monster Hunter Wilds might beat it all, insanely enough. I have an unapologetic love for Nintendo. I've grown up with it, and it is my quote-unquote brand of choice when it comes to gaming. If somebody were to ask me what my preference is, I am a PC and Nintendo gamer, because obviously Nintendo games don't come to anything else. There are limits to how much I like Nintendo, as I'm sure there are for many other fans. The fact that, we're paying $50 to $60 for some re-released games like Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, I have not bought that. I have also not bought the Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. There are a bunch of titles of theirs that I have skipped out on just because I don't have enough interest. But, I mean, I'm still buying a bunch of the new games that they released. Princess Peach Showtime, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, even Thousand Year Door Remake. I have the game and still have not played it. But these are games that I really do think I would enjoy and have appreciation for, so of course I'm going to show my support. So going into this year and seeing that Wilds and the Nintendo Switch 2, along with its library of games, is coming out in the same year is really mind-boggling to me, but I still think Wilds will end up winning. Now, I want to preface, this has nothing to do with the Switch 2 reveal. I know a lot of people say that it's kind of underwhelming, but to me, I thought it was fine. I really did not see anything out of the ordinary for it. It's not even the full reveal of the console. It was pretty much just a bite-sized teaser alongside a reveal for Mario Kart 9, the next Mario Kart, whatever you want to call it. But I'm very confident that the playtime of Wilds will eclipse any other Nintendo game that will come out this year. It's just how it goes. With Monster Hunter, I can easily put in about 300 hours into the game before I really start feeling a fatigue. I think Monster Hunter Rise I got some early fatigue from, but that was mainly because title updates were coming a little bit slower and a lot of the monsters in the game actually carried over from the previous game world. To me, it wasn't as fresh of a new experience despite all of the additions that they had, but I plan on going full in on this game, and I have plenty of friends who will also be doing the same, so I have all the more reason to play it for months on end. Now, if I were to go into theoretical Nintendo games that could potentially take the spot of Game of the Year for me, it would have to be something like Smash 6 or the next 3D Mario. Smash Brothers is just as much an influential series on my life as Monster Hunter, and so I think that if it comes out and it is as good as I would hope it would come out, better online, assuming the next Smash is able to retain a good bit of the roster, including Sora, and is also able to still get a lot of single-player content that people can chew into, I do think that the next Smash Brothers would be a huge contender for me. 3D Marios do not come our way very often, and almost always they are just contenders for Game of the Year just because of how polished they are. Mario Odyssey in particular came out in a stacked year with a bunch of other huge games like Breath of the Wild and Persona 5, and while it didn't win Game of the Year, it definitely had a bunch of support behind it, and I think for even some Nintendo fans, Mario Odyssey was their Game of the Year. There are people out there who just prefer Mario over Zelda, and you can't fault them for that. So depending on how wild this new 3D Mario goes, and again, this isn't something we really know about, but it's almost all but guaranteed that we're going to get a 3D Mario at some point, and hopefully within the first release of the Nintendo Switch 2, not into next year. That could also be something that would battle with Monster Hunter Wilds for my Game of the Year spot. Now, if we want to get super unrealistic, have a huge deep dive into my psyche and the games that I super duper appreciate from Nintendo, a Mother 3 remake and localization would probably win my Game of the Year just based on principle alone, because I adore that game to death. I think if they just did a localization, I would probably give it a close second place. It doesn't seem reasonable to give it a full Game of the Year title just because it is a 20-year-old game and Monster Hunter Wilds is a brand new game, yada yada. Something else to further the discussion is that Wilds will have content like stretching out throughout the year and will be probably going up and into the Game Awards. Eventually, we will likely see an expansion for Wilds, but of course that's so far away, the game's not even out yet. Not really reasonable to talk about that right now, but fact of the matter is, I think that this game is going to still stay pretty relevant for people. And while I do think that there are probably other games from other developers that would definitely give Wilds a run for its money, I still think that this probably could be a Game of the Year in general, like for the panelists. I think that the least relevance that Monster Hunter Wilds will probably have is going into the holiday season. Switch 2 will have been fully revealed and released by that point. You can count me on that. And so Nintendo will probably be the big dog when it comes to kind of pushing their marketing and sales for that specific season. I don't think Capcom is specifically going to slouch or anything. I still expect them to deliver content for Monster Hunter Wilds, but I think the spotlight will no longer be on it, and some people will be transitioning to other games. Some factors that could probably bring it down are like some of the performance issues that people are seeing right now. I haven't had too many issues with my probably 1 generation or 2 generation behind PC. I want to hope that they do fix that down the line. They've had PC ports for their games in the past, like World and like Rise, so this isn't something that they'd be super unfamiliar with, but at the same time, Wilds is a game that has been turned up to 11 when compared to World. I don't want to make any promises or predictions that performance patches will happen, but I mean, I am very hopeful since the team behind the games have been so supportive of not only the community, but just making sure that the play experience is ideal for everyone. And the reason why I really am so confident is that even in playing the Monster Hunter Wilds betas, I have just had so much unbelievable fun. I almost put 20 hours into the beta alone, which we have another beta coming up, so that threshold is going to be met. And again, I'm not making any progress by doing that, but I just love the gameplay loop of Monster Hunter so much that there's no doubt that I am going to be putting in well over 100 hours into that game before the end of the year, if not even more. I think a more arbitrary reason why I do think Monster Hunter Wilds could be my Game of the Year is I am so looking forward to making content for this game. I have a number of ideas for it, whether that be discussion videos or tutorials, anything like comedy videos for the game. It seems like something that I am going to really try and invest my time into. I don't want to say that I am abandoning everything else because I still enjoy making Pokemon TCG Pocket content and shorts, but I do think that there will be a pretty noticeable change in the channel's content moving forward once the game comes out. And I think that the same can be said for the Switch 2. And again, make no mistake, I will be there day one to purchase and play the Nintendo Switch 2 and make videos on it and talk about the games and all of this stuff. But again, I really do think that Monster Hunter Wilds for me will be my Game of the Year. But I think that's about all I have to ramble about. If you like this kind of rambling type of video, please let me know down in the comments. And of course, also let me know if you're excited for Monster Hunter Wilds, or at least as excited as I am, because I had to let this off my chest. This is something I had to talk about, and hopefully I'll get a lot of people who either feel the same way, or we might get some discussion about, you know, what people really think. But finally, I want to thank you all so very much for watching. Hopefully you're having a fantastic night or day wherever you may be, and I hope to see you next time. See ya!